Anyway, live television, there's nothing like it, you know?
We go live on a podcast just now. How about we put on our podcast faces? Because podcasts are going much more visual these days. Do you know that?
It's
like a little show.
Yes, your framing is nice.
Podcasts
the
are
opposite
dying.
of a podcast then.
Yeah, it's a face cast. I'll tell you
now,
what.
yeah, it's a face cast now. Sorry, it's a misnomer, the podcast. You're right, Jordan. It has become the face show.
I think it's just a show now. We just have a show on YouTube. You know what I mean? Welcome to the show on YouTube.
You can listen to the audio component on Spotify and other cast mediums.
Podcast. We hate them now.
Boring.
Watch us on YouTube. Buy our chocolate bar.
What's our chocolate bar called?
Oh boy, it's called Fourth Musketeer.
And it's the Fourth Musketeer from the early movies, just like with his head chopped off.
That's our mascot, and in the commercials, everybody he's chasing people down to get the candy bar from them, the Fourth Musketeer bar, and he grabs it and he slips it in the neck hole, and then he uses it as a dowel to reattach his head to his neck, which is what he wants to do. It's a bit of a Trix Rabbit situation, except for grizzly head reattachments.
Silly D'Artagnan.
Yeah.
Tricks are for kids.
Folks, welcome to Werewolf Radar, the world's premier paranormal preparedness podcast. My name's Jordan Dahl.
I am Nate Balding.
I am Roger Norquist.
Today's episode of Werewolf Radar is brought to you by the Monstroco Nanny Cam. Worried that the teddy bear camera you bought to keep an eye on your mysterious Belarusian housekeeper is itself coming to life and moving objects around your house? Try the Monstroco Nanny Cam. This micro-sized HD camera concealed within a secondary, even less conspicuous teddy bear than the first should put your mind at ease. Unless, of course, the Nanny Cam starts to come to life. In which case, the Nanny Cam by Monstroco. It's bears all the way down.
I know I shouldn't laugh because this is a serious issue affecting families with children.
It happens a lot. If you put a nanny cam in your apartment to watch your stuff and your child and your nanny while you're gone, you can see everything in your apartment except for that nanny cam.
That's fair.
Well, and things must
And
be
the
getting
frame
pretty
keeps
serious
moving.
out there when Build-A-Bear starts offering a camera option.
Yes. And also, it seems like maybe you could solve the ultimate problem at play here by pointing the name at the nanny cam and just kind of having them watch one another.
It seems like a devil's box situation.
It specifically says you're not supposed to point them at each other. And, you can tell when one is actually in the view of the other one because the thing starts to get hot. Real hot. Should be on fire, but isn't hot.
I thought you meant super fuckable.
I mean, like it could get more fuckable. Have you seen this teddy bear? My tooth fell out.
All right, well, hello, fellas.
My tooth fell out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant that as a bit.
No, a tooth fell out.
Just whole?
Now?
It happened 2 days ago while I was eating chocolate, which the dentist can never know.
Your secret's safe with.
I swear to Christ, I was pounding broccoli.
Recording.
It's just the funniest thing that I could have been. Was this chocolate? It was chocolate. You were right. Candy did it.
Someone who's been through this process.
I had a temporary cap on, and apparently this tooth that's been giving me so much trouble is like my primary chomper. Like that's when I'm chomping, that's what I'm going for. So this thing has been through hell and back. I had a root canal. I had a post-in core. You know what that is? It's a screw that they put in your teeth.
Oh, right.
I will have that on this side to where then we can put the new tooth on.
Yeah, and then they put us a temporary cap on, and I broke it off, and so I got to go in tomorrow morning early and be like, please, my tooth, it break.
Chocolate was not involved.
Yeah, and no chocolate.
I got sent an entire box of Fourth Musketeer bars. What am I gonna do?
The Fourth Musketeer. My God.
Well, these are some great stories. May I start?
Please take the skull.
I will take
You
the
might
form.
notice the
Yes.
skull. I got it cleaned.
Oh my, it is
Oh,
shiny. Look
yes.
at that
Yeah,
pearly white on
Yep.
those.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now they're kind of bleeding. The teeth are.
That's how
blood
you
is
want it.
coming?
That's how you want
Okay.
it. It gets fresher. You want it to be bleeding. Before it was so tarnished and like crypt sodden that you
Yes.
couldn't really see the features. This is a fresh, good skull.
Well, I'm gonna
It's the
keep
same
that
skull.
in
It's the same
mind.
skull. That's important.
I'm gonna keep that in mind, but I will put some towels down.
Shined up, couple of new hexes on it, sort of prolong its unearthly existence.
And for my segment this week, I jumped on the Reddit. I'm building that karma up. I'm karma level 11.
Man, I just realized that I have like a lot of karma on Reddit.
It's because you're a good karma influence. I decided to go here because, as Jordan says, everything can be a hellhole, Reddit especially, and that most people do think of it as a hellhole.
People hate it.
However, there are some pretty earnest and vulnerable accounts of the paranormal on this website. People do go here and ask, what the fuck is this? Or people go on there, I'm seriously interested, and please serious responses only. What have you seen? People are still sharing it as an honest and open forum. And I found a nice Reddit thread. Is that what they're called, Jordan?
Come on, don't put me in this Reddit. I'm the fucking local expert.
No, we've all been on
Box.
Reddit a lot. We know what it's called. But
Yeah.
that was an honest question, though. Are they Reddit
It was
threads?
also a good roast. Yes, they are.
So this one is called Serious. What's the creepiest / paranormal activity you have ever encountered? And I
Wow.
say we maybe rate this on a system of 1 to 5.
Sure.
And I go through some stories and we have fun. And then I pass now the blood's kind of on fire.
Yeah, no, that's how
The bleeding
blood
fire
goes away.
skull
Yeah.
to you all.
Again, that's part of like that means it's on. You know, when you plug in the router and like you gotta wait for the lights to come on, that means that it's working. Like, look, you can send it right to Nate.
Fire means it's on, good to go.
Yeah,
Excellent.
the blood, the fire, it's all part of it's working.
Well, won't worry about it then. However, the towels to clean up the blood are now on fire. We'll just go fast. So this one comes from Cylons in a police box.
Oh,
The
Okay,
Doctor Who reference and a
and a
Star
Battlestar
Galactica reference.
Galactica, yes.
I trust him with so much now. So they say, my dad worked in security. I got into it after he passed. One night, I was called on my night off. They needed someone to go fill in on another site. I never worked the site before, but hey, overtime, I accepted. Get that dollar bill, as my grandpa said. My grandpa was insane. It was one of my dad's old sites. So it is about 2 a.m. and I'm going around. I enter one of the buildings and I think I see someone moving ahead. The building is locked and there should be no one here. I quietly close the door behind me and creep up for a closer look. At the end of the hall is a security guard, which is odd as I am the only guard on duty in theory. So I'm seeing this guy and I notice a uniform, and it is for a company that doesn't exist anymore. In fact, it's for the company that my dad worked for when he was at this site. So it hits me that this is my dad, and I'm standing here watching him.
whoa.
He apparently goes around doing a round of the building I am patrolling. So I watch him and he looks differently. Nope, I watch him and he looks directly at me as if he could see me. He looks at me for about 30 seconds and then he turns the corner. I run to catch up with him and he's gone. 2 years later, I still swear that I saw him. I don't know if it was a ghost or if it was a hallucination or something different. It might be a time loop, and I actually saw him working the site in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it more and more like when you hear this stuff, that's what it feels like. Which again brings me to that question of like can we I do that myself? Could I get myself to remember that this seems to be some kind of scientific phenomenon that's happening long enough to try to take some measurements? And I like to think that I could, but I know I couldn't.
They now work at that site whenever someone needs to fill in, not for the overtime, but to hope that it happens again. I have filled in over 20 times since there, and it has not happened again.
Hmm.
That is the first one on our system from, let's change it from 1 to 5 because that's hack. Let's go.
Whoa.
No, but that's a good one. Let's go Jackalope to vampire.
Whoa.
Alrighty.
Nate, you go first.
Well, this thread was called creepy / paranormal.
Creepiest /
And
paranormal activity.
I would say that no one did anything creepy in this story, unless his dead father's security guard went peeping later, which,
It's not
could have
part of the
happened.
story, but
Not part of the story, though. So I'm gonna have to go. What would 3 be? Like baby reindeer. Sorry, that would actually be the most creepy.
I just finished that yesterday. Fucking.
Oh, well, I could
Whoa.
not make it through.
Whoa. Yeah.
Jordan, your opinion and ranking.
Thought it was the show? Oh, of the
Well, of
I
our
think-
show currently.
I think what's the entire how high can I go? How low can I go?
Vampire is the highest and Jackalope is the lowest.
Giving this a full Kraken
Okay.
out of vampire to jackalope. It's pretty high up there
It gave me some goosebumps.
for me. I mainly because this is the type of thing that I find myself obsessed with these moments of like oh my God, that might have happened and that person might have been given an opportunity to do some science if they hadn't have been so freaked out by it. And it sounds plausible. I'll bet his dad had a story where he was like, thought I saw someone in here one time.
Wearing like futuristic security guard clothes. He had a
just pretty much
fucking
the same.
flashlight on his chest. Can you believe that shit?
Yeah.
I'm holding mine like a goddamn troglodyte. He's just right there.
Like a club, like a crudely fashioned iron mace.
Dude, that's a good point, though. I wonder if his
I think
dad
it's a
did
time
have a story
wibbly.
like
I think
that.
the place has a time wibbly because of something.
It didn't say what the place was. Did I go over it? It just says,
I just said it was this.
yeah, a site that his father worked at.
Yeah.
So I mean that the time loop thing I think explains the apparent absence of recognition
Mm-hmm.
that the ghost had for the son. I think more than if it was an actual spectral encounter.
All right.
I would think that the ghost of your father would recognize you.
Mm.
You'd be
Sure.
surprised. Not
Well,
that I
I
have
mean, if-
experience
Maybe
with
he's
that.
never
but
met his kid.
Here's the thing. If I saw my kid, ostensibly, I don't have a child.
Sure.
But if I had a time loop and in some future I do have a kid and I'd met them, I think I'd just be like, who are you? Whoa, you look like
You
familiar.
look like
to
me, kind of?
Yeah. But
Yeah, I mean, I guess because we don't know how many years it's been. I think did he say it was 2 years since his dad
2 years
died?
since that.
So I feel like you would know someone that you saw 2 years ago.
Fair enough. That's for the unknown to tell us when we finally capture a ghost. This next story involves a hot roommate.
okay. Great. Love these ones.
From endless reproach, a couple of friends and one hot roommate rented a house in the next city over. One floor had a partially finished basement.
Okay.
The owner started the job but never completed it. Only the outer walls and one interior room were put in. The main area was open with a single light bulb hanging from the ceiling. Scattering of old furniture around.
Okay.
My friends used the basement to host parties.
Okay.
Apparently, there was a standing request not to sleep down there, a request that I did not hear.
Dear Penthouse, I never thought this would happen to me.
So after one party, people started to sleep everywhere they could find space. We've all been to the parties. If you haven't, just know it smells. I picked the only open spot I could find, an old couch in the basement. I wake up, go
Boy,
on.
that couch is definitely so gross.
Oh yeah, it's been fucked on, it's been vomited on, and
Yeah.
it's been
All
sprayed
all of
on.
the liquids
Yeah.
that can come out of a body. It's been
It's seen all the fluids. It has a full house. I wake up just after a few hours, must have been 4 or 5 a.m., and I hear a guy and a girl whispering and giggling in that partially built next room. It sounded like someone who was at the party, so I got up to ask them to be quiet. And as soon as I got near the doorway, it stopped. But I thought I know how to speak. Sorry about that. But I thought maybe I was hearing people still partying upstairs, and it just sounded like whispering through the floor. It didn't start back up, so I decided to ignore it and get back to sleep. I lay back down. That bright light was shining in my face, and I wasn't sure how to turn it off, so I closed my eyes and just tried to sleep anyways. While on the couch with my eyes closed, I saw a shadow move across my eyelids, as if someone moved between me and the light. So at this point, I bolt right up, say nope, 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 nope over and over again as I started walking toward the stairs. The cement floor was a bit uneven, so I'd hear scuffling noise from some of my footsteps, but I'd hear it even when my shoes didn't scrape the floor. I stopped at the bottom of the stairs and listened, and those shuffling footsteps kept going. I sprinted up the stairs and paused one more time at the top, looked back down, and saw nothing. I don't know what I expected to see, someone or something. I wait maybe 10 seconds, listening out, and I finally hear what sounds like a single footfall on the wood creaking of the bottom stair. I shut the door behind me, backed away, watching it, but it never came through.
Yikes.
Frantically, I'm trying to tell my friends who rented the place without waking up everyone, and I find the roommate on the air mattress. I assume that's the hot one.
Hot roommate sleeping
Right.
on the mattress, yeah.
In the living room. It sounds like a frat house, to be honest. Which was weird, but whatever. I start shaking her and I go, See, wake up. Your basement's haunted. She looks at me like I'm an idiot and says, Duh, we told everyone not to sleep down there.
Whoa.
And then as a joke, I think, they go, So can I crash on the corner of your air mattress?
Whoa.
And then the next day, apparently, they get told a bunch of ghost stories. They said at this case that there are constantly slamming doors and cabinets. One person named R for this story heard similar noises in the basement.
Whoa.
The door slamming would usually happen as soon as people were falling asleep instinctively. Individually, they would happen at that moment. Only one person ever saw a door being slammed
Interesting.
and said it was unnatural, said that it was more than just wind. And let's move on. But what do you think about that? Jordan, you go first.
Well,
Scale of Jackalope to vampire.
I'm going to go, scare factor in general.
Creepiness and paranormal activity. What's the creepiest paranormal activity you've ever encountered? And it's creepiest / paranormal activity for a basis.
I'm going to give this a Jersey Devil.
Ooh,
Right.
13th child.
Which I feel is kind of halfway between a jackalope and a vampire. You know what I mean?
I do. It's basically a jackalope with fangs that flies.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a chimeric thing that
Yes.
emits evil vibes.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm at with that one.
Jordan.
That's just
Not meant
that was me.
anti-Jordan.
All right.
You
As
do.
anti-Jordan. It sounds to me like this guy was fucked up and was trying to bone, but he was really bad at figuring out how to talk to this hot
Mhm.
roommate. So when he
Mhm.
did go wake her up, and she was like, "What the fuck are you doing waking me up?"
He was like,
He
"It's a
was
ghost
like,
story."
"By the way, can I sleep in your bed tonight?" So creep factor pretty high.
Just a
I'm
different kind of
gonna,
creep factor.
yeah, I'm gonna give this one a Harvey Weinstein, but Harvey is the invisible rabbit from the movie Harvey.
Nice. I like the
Harvey
idea.
Lean Stone.
I like the idea of the guy trying to do some creepy stuff and then learning about something horrific, learning that no, you actually did see a ghost.
Yeah.
By the
Yeah.
way, you're now haunted.
That has like B movie plot line vibes where it's
I'm
like
a
you went to hook up with a babe and then she was the devil.
dude. I think we could be
Welcome to
good
Night Gallery.
B movie writers. We could start that industry. Werewolf.
Pitch me one right now.
Okay, okay.
Or Horny Lane.
Horny.
It's where horn dogs go and they get set upon by some kind of monster. You thought you were here to meet a co-ed, but
You know what? It's a grunge story.
it's the
I don't believe
grunge.
there's any movie that's been
The
made
grunge
about
is
the
just there in the
grunge.
corner waving.
The sex grunge. You're my sex grunge.
All right, gentlemen,
Baby,
I
you
have
can
one more
sex
for
my
you.
grunge. Sure.
And I do believe it is the scariest of all. I say that with no feeling at all, to be honest. But here it is.
Here's
So,
your benign,
it's from
frightening tale.
O'Malley the Alley Puss.
Oh,
Okay,
Molly
come
the
on.
alley puss.
And it is starting as such. I was walking home one night from my grandmother's house. We lived in a village in rural Ireland. Granny's house was on the outskirts of the village, so I had to walk up a narrow country lane to get to Granny's house and back down the lane to get toward the village. My granddad was dying, and the priest have him the last rites. He pulled through the night, and my granny told me to go home and get a bit of rest. I reluctantly agreed and walked home. Count down the country lane. I've been walking since I was a boy, only this time it seemed weird in a way, almost eerie, as I never get spooked. I pushed the feeling to the side as my mind was in shock about my granddad. I was walking toward the bottom of the lane when I noticed a blur of white down the bottom of the lane beside one of the farmer's gates to the field beside my grandparents' house. I thought it looked like a lamb that had escaped, which happens a lot. Lambs are notorious for escaping. They're ungovernable. So I walked toward it to investigate. When I walked toward the blur of white, it felt like electricity entered every inch of my body. The hairs were standing up on my arms and what was left of the top of my head.
Then I
I
pulled my fork out of the outlet.
I stood frozen in perpetual fear as the figure was an old hunched woman in a white
Ew.
robe, and she just screamed the guttural scream was so frightening. I actually stopped breathing with sheer fear. I looked
Whoa.
up into her face and saw nothing but a blur. The cry was ungodly, like a
Yikes.
mother finding out her child was dead.
Yikes.
Scream I had ever witnessed. The most scariest scream I have
Double
ever
scared.
witnessed.
This is not helping there.
First of all,
Creep factor.
I feel in moments of sheer terror or mind-blowing, extraordinary events, I think the more you forget your mother language's grammar, the more believable it becomes. To where, like, if just
Your mother
chaos
grammar.
starts to leave your mouth,
Sure.
I might believe your story more.
Interesting. Okay.
So
But
if this
that's
story
my
was
own
just
personal
him
bias.
yelling, "Oh, fuck, fuck, fuck."
I believe that person. I believe whatever they're running from.
It's likely.
Adrenaline must have kicked in. I do not like that movie. It gets too real for me.
Frightening.
Adrenaline must have kicked in because I legged it straight back up the lane toward Granny's house and legged it in the front door. I could hear my granny rushing out rushing
Legging
out
it,
Granddad's
legging it.
room crying. Said, Granddad's gone. Imagine
What?
just passing away within 5 minutes of me leaving and
Whoa.
encountering a woman on that same lane. I remember telling my elderly aunt and a few family members about the woman, and they said that she was a friend of the family by now. She only appeared when
Yikes.
someone is going to die.
What?
I thought that they were talking. I thought they were taking the piss until my father, a born skeptic and very religious man, confirmed this woman's existence. And of course, we're talking about the Banshee.
Yikes.
This family is part of the families that get them. And this
Irish
kid,
tradition.
that's the creepiest thing. And for me, this is the one that was straight up the creepiest.
Pretty creepy.
Nate, if you would give your rating from Jackalope to Vampire.
Vampire. Well, I do have to at first call into question the idea that his father was the skeptic, but also extremely religious. I don't feel like those go together very well. It definitely does sound pretty real. He seems like he was very scared, but that might have just been a creepy old lady on the street. And it's not all of that terrifying. His grandfather just died after getting last rites from a priest. The priest is also a character who only shows up when someone's about to die.
No one says the same mean stuff about him, but they certainly reserve it for this Banshee.
Yeah.
But I'll give it a 4-star stake in the heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Jordan, what do you think of this one?
I'm going to give this a pale crawler out of
There we go.
Vampire 2 Jackalope. Because this one is very creepy. Maybe even beyond Vampire. Also, vampires aren't that creepy. I think we need to adjust the scale.
I came up with it as I go next time, and I think I like this as a segment concept to where we read some stories and rate them.
I want some more of it.
But that's going to be the third and last one for me. Thank you, O'Malley the Alley Puss.
O'Malley the Alley Puss.
I'm trying to find the other one. Give them proper shout out and credit. Where do you go? They've gone. They've been deleted. Endless reproach.
Disappearing like that, vampire.
Oh boy.
And Cylons in a police box will now, I don't know, put on some oven mitts and contain the fire in the towel and then put that in. Honestly, here you go.
The new system is if you just let it out of your sight for a second, so you could like throw a towel over it or whatever, and it will just appear with whoever's going next. Nate, would you like to
summon the skull?
Sure.
I would love to go last because I got a fucking segment.
Ooh,
all right.
Something we're building to.
Yeah, that's right. Stay tuned for the segment.
I am going to go back to the world of haunted islands.
Back to the world of haunted islands.
If you are a Patreon member, then you have already heard a good portion of this.
Yeah, but it was like special and unique. You should go to our Patreon.
Yeah, the second half doesn't really make sense without the first half, so you're gonna have to anyway.
Yeah, it's like you're getting Empire Strikes Back before you get Star Wars. We're
gonna make so many inside jokes and references on this.
Could you imagine seeing The Empire Strikes Back and that everything makes sense and that like it truly makes sense, and then Luke pulls the lightsaber without touching it from the ice and you just go, wait, he's a wizard?
Ooh, that sounds great.
I kind of like that better, actually.
So anyway, if you haven't seen Star Wars, start with Empire Strikes Back.
Yep, and then immediately go to Rise of Skywalker.
And then go
watch the middle 2 episodes of Andor.
And then weirdly, the first 2 Fast and Furious movies fit in between there.
Very important.
This is the Werewolf Radar canonical way to watch the Star Wars movies.
Yeah. And then you have to take a break. You have to abstain for 13 months.
Yep.
And then
From everything.
and then back in with the Bad Batch.
We have fun here.
And you somehow have to watch it without ever paying Disney Plus money.
Never.
That's the challenge factor.
So we're going to go to Alaska with this one, in the Kodiak Archipelago, wherein a group of pristine forested islands surrounded by gray, storm-lashed, frigid seas exist.
Damn, who's writing this?
Someone from Mysterious Universe. I'm not sure which one, but they're they're painting a picture with their words.
Bunch of jokers down there.
On these islands is one at the extreme southern end, shaped sort of like a webbed duck's foot, called Chirikov Island, which is itself a presently uninhabited, treeless expanse of 33,000 acres of absolutely desolate grassland, populated by little more than ground squirrels. Apparently, they also introduced foxes for fox farming, which I did not know was a thing, but
Yeah,
apparently it is.
the British people like to hunt these mystical animals.
Oh,
I also
fair
think
enough.
not wolves. I also think wolves too, but I believe foxes are fey creatures.
Ah,
They're too adorable not to be.
Fey-touched critters.
I
Yeah,
do.
sure.
If I believe in anything, I believe that foxes are fey-touched creatures.
They're at the very least
touch
sacred
critter.
animals filled with cunning.
Yes, they are cunning critters.
Have you ever trapped one in an iron cage? You get a wish.
I trapped one with a question once that it could not answer, but I can't remember what the question was. And so
It was, can you speak? And it could not. Apparently, there's also a herd of feral cattle that were brought there in 1867 by the Alaska Commercial Company. And they're just still running around, breeding all over the place, being feral cattle, which I expect are pretty much just like regular breeding cattle.
What was your end game here?
I don't know why we're going to release a bunch of cattle onto this island. All right.
We'll train the feral cattle to hunt the foxes.
So yeah, although once a base of operations for that fox farming and holding a colony of settlers living a sustenance life, I think they mean
subsistence life, sure.
the village would later be abandoned in the 19th century, after which it would be the location of a beef farming operation from 1925. Okay, so I guess they did have a reason for bringing cattle over. It was late as the 1980s, which was inevitably doomed due to shipwrecks, plane crashes, unruly cattle, unfulfilled contacts, and stringy, inedible meat.
Stringy?
Well, it's spelled the same way.
I know
Oh,
stringy was
you
just
mean
fun.
the cattle you refused to take care of gave you bad meat?
Apparently so. Which all conspired to make the operation extremely unprofitable, and it was abandoned. The island is also known for its stories, of course, of the paranormal, and has acquired quite the reputation for being a forsaken, cursed place. The main ghost stories surrounding this remote, desolate place revolve around an alleged Russian penal colony.
Oh, penal.
It seems like penal colonies are filled with ghosts. That supposedly once existed here. Author and explorer Henry Wood Elliott first wrote of this place in his book, Our Arctic Province, Alaska and the Seal Islands, describing a cruel and treacherous place where Russian czars sent the worst of the worst criminals and exiles to wallow in filthy conditions. So this is where you go if you get sent further than the gulags,
Wow.
evidently.
Brutal.
I think I could do it.
You think you could
Do some real crimes. No, I couldn't. I'm such a soft boy.
I think gulag in it would be pretty shitty.
Evidently, he was accused of perhaps making much of this up, but Elliot was not the only person to make mention of the notorious penal colony. And in 1908, a seasoned skipper by the name of Captain E.L. West would also write of this spooky place, saying, here's a quote, there is one island in Alaskan waters on which the foot of man, white or red, is never placed. Chirikov Island, south of the Samedi Group, is inhabited beyond doubt by the spirits of former Russian exiles, and they will permit no intrusion of their haunts by earthly inhabitants. The Aleut Indians, who are the most intelligent. Jesus, this gets racist. Realize this
Boy.
fact, and neither love nor money can induce them to step foot on the island or go near it in their canoes or boats. Years ago, before Alaska was purchased, Russia made use of the island as a prison for her criminal exiles. Murderers, thieves, and other convicts of the worst class were shipped there under life sentences. And as the exiles were there for life, there was no incentive to keep them alive. So, interesting quote. You would think that, I mean, who are you going to talk to if not these criminals? There's nobody else on this island. According to West, the convicts were ruthlessly tortured and often executed for no reason, sometimes in the cruelest of ways, such as being buried alive or starved to death. The prisoners were always weighed down with heavy balls and chains around their ankles, and it was apparently all quite the hell on Earth.
This is not the island adventure I had hoped.
It is perhaps no wonder that the place would gain a reputation as being haunted, with various skippers passing the island only to hear the ghostly wails and screams of these long-dead prisoners, as well as the loud clinking of chains, and those brave few who dared venture ashore would often find the macabre scene of skeletons of the prisoners strewn about.
Yikes.
So here's another quote from West. On still nights, the pitiful shrieks and cries of anguish from the dying men tortured the ocean air for miles around. A few white men have had the temerity to set foot on the bleak shores of Chirikov, but they quickly left there with shattered nerves, vowing never to return.
Shattered that shit.
They bring skeletons of men with chain and ball bound to the ankle and wrist bones. Other skeletons are found to be there with the ribs broken, others with the skull, forehead, or jaws crushed into an indistinguishable mass.
Yeah.
There are, on every hand, evidence of the terrible brutality of the fiendish keepers to the helpless men in their charge. Some of them too horrible to mention. So it, I guess, gets worse than just finding smashed skulls littered about.
Which is pretty bad. Troon, I believe they said.
West would give a very spooky account that he'd heard from an old Scottish man by the name of Philip Graham, who went to Chirikov Island to build a cabin and would soon learn to regret it. Chirikov claimed that when he was on the island, he was tormented every night by the sounds of screams, stomping feet, the rattle of chains, the noise of earth being shoveled, and the sickening sound of flesh being pounded and smacked by heavy objects in gruesome thuds.
I assume the gruesome thud is squishy too. A weird, like.
Yeah. He would claim that one night he dared venture outside to look around when he saw a ghostly procession of skeletons marching along in the moonlight. A terrifying sight that made him rarely venture out from the confines of his crude cabin. He eventually abandoned the cabin altogether and never went back, apparently leaving all of his possessions behind to go swimming out into the freezing sea to swim toward a passing ship, deliriously ranting about screaming skeleton ghosts. Which
nice.
I would love to get that guy into the boat.
I want to cut open his brain and see what's up with it. That type of stuff to be like, what happened? Is this real? Is your brain normal? Or are there skeletons over there?
Others who have passed the island also have claimed to have seen spectral skeletons roaming about on the shore, as well as mysterious orbs of light in the dark.
This is fucking incredible.
It's pretty insane. And there's been an inordinate number of shipwrecks and plane crashes in the area, which along with the
island.
And we own it, Jordan. America.
We do now. Right. Which along with the fact that no one has ever been able to stay here for long has led to the idea that the island is not only haunted, but cursed as well. Then there are the stories of the feral cattle here acting almost like zombie killing machines.
Whoa. So wait, zombie killing machines or zombie?
Yeah, that's ambiguous.
Yeah,
like
zombie dash killing, but I'm not sure if that's supposed to be.
Do these cows aid humanity in the upcoming zombie wars, or do I have to
I
turn on my
think they're.
bovine brethren?
I think you're going to have to turn.
Hmm.
There have long been tales that the cows here are rather odd. They not only don't herd normally, but they are often seen swimming out into the water and aggressively attack visitors to the island. They also they also show an unsettling apparent ability to communicate and coordinate with each other, leading to the idea that the cattle are actually possessed by some supernatural force.
Well,
I'm fucking sorry. What the fuck did you think was going to happen when you just leave some feral cows on an island and don't return?
This is how it goes.
did you ever hear that
Uh,
song "Cows with Guns"?
I do.
Maybe.
Who sang that?
You.
Oh, gosh, it was some like kind
They
of,
Might Be Giants kind of ripoff.
yeah. The strange account was given in the 1930s by a woman named Kay Barker, who visited the island with her friend Misha and said, Misha and I had gone to the island to take pictures. We soon spotted a small herd, but they ran as we approached. However, we found they had gone for the army, which advanced in charge of a big white bull. I was busy taking pictures as they got near and circled around us. This is terrifying.
So they're not
Uh,
feral. They've developed
no,
their own size
they have a full
society.
society, yeah.
They have a
Suddenly-
society filled with threats and meaning.
Suddenly, as though at a signal from the white bull, they charged. Misha grabbed me by the arm and we ran to the shore where we had our boat waiting. According to Barker, the mad, bloodthirsty cows actually swam out into the water and tried to chase their boat as they escaped. These quote-unquote hell cows might be one of the reasons for why a good number of people who have ventured the island have disappeared without a trace.
Yike!
What
The hell
is this
cows
place?
took
The
them.
Hell Cows. Yeah, Island of the Hell Cows. That's the B-movie pitch.
That's
We're
the
making
B-movie
it.
pitch.
Where's Asylum? We need you.
Asylum Pictures, get at us.
Is there some paranormal force permeating this island, or is this all just spooky rumors and urban legend cropping up around a decidedly creepy and isolated spot? See?
That just means why not both?
The mystery remains, and for now, that cold, windswept island lurks out there in the periphery, drawing around it dark legends and tales we may never be able to peer through.
Tales of
So I think that's going to be, I guess we'll just call it Island of the Hell Cows.
Island of the Hell Cows,
Great
but
name already.
the skeletons are
Yeah,
a
this
prominent
is
force
they
as
share it
well.
with skeletons.
That might be the Grateful Dead.
Which let's not underestimate
Singing
the skeletons.
Cows with guns.
Cows with gun. Right on.
But
Well,
yeah.
if you want to send me the skull,
I
I
shall
will.
cover it in a silver foil worn by various people who have done alien hoaxes.
Great. And I
And
will
toss
find
that
it
on the-
just right under the desk here. There we go. It is the speaking skull is particularly visceral. He was right. There's kind of a sheen to it. It's kind of a greasy, and yeah, there's the blood. There's the blood. Okay. So my segment, which I had this whole time to come up with a name for, and I couldn't figure it out. So basically, Nate, I want you to help me troubleshoot this thing. We're gonna
Sure,
workshop this name.
Let's get a bad pun.
So this is the presidential UFO and alien encounters throughout the years. And we might come back to this segment, so it needs a really good name. I got stuck in a Hail to the Chief place, and there's just nothing that makes sense there.
Alien to the Chief?
How about the extraterrestrial branch of government? And Alien to the Chief. Oh my God.
Ooh, that is good.
Out of the fucking gate, from the hip.
Nate, are you a witch?
I'm over here racking my brain. Alien to the Chief is the name of the segment. Guys, I was goofing around online and I found a couple of interesting stories. Have you ever heard the story about Nixon and Jackie Gleason?
Yes. I like it.
Supposedly
It's
they
come
were
up
pals.
Kind of adjacent to some of our
Yeah.
alien tales.
Yeah. That got me thinking about how many other presidents had what were their reactions, what did they encounter, and basically you can put in anybody's name, any president's name, and there will be something about it. So I kind
Martin
of
Van Buren, the
okay,
little
well,
magician.
let's relax. Is that what they called him? The little
Yep,
magician?
they surely
Why?
did.
What?
Why?
I think at the time there was an economic crisis. I want to say it was the Panic of 1837, and
Wow.
he weathered it quite well. They thought that he worked his magic on the economy.
Whoa. I'm impressed. Somebody knows something about Martin Van Buren? Is
Well,
that what you said?
when someone gets called the little magician, I'm gonna wonder what that's about.
Yeah. So I started thinking about like other encounters, and I got some articles here I want to share with you guys. So the Jackie Gleason thing, by the way, these are the key takeaways from a story on howstuffworks.com, where they say Jackie Gleason, the famous comedian, was reportedly shown embalmed bodies of 4 alien beings at Homestead Air Force Base in 1973, arranged by his friend President Richard Nixon. Gleason, who had a keen interest in UFOs, was deeply shaken by the sight and was sworn to secrecy about the event. After Gleason's divorce, his second wife, Beverly, disclosed the story publicly, despite Gleason's initial insistence on secrecy. So,
I
yeah.
hope that he said pow boom right to the moon, Nixon.
Do you want to see some alien bodies, Jackie?
One of these days, Richie. Jackie, it's all real. Oh, it's all true, Jackie. I've got 4 of them I can show you right now. So here's a little bit more on the encounter. Upon his arrival, armed guards took Gleason to a building at a remote location on the site. There, Gleason, who harbored an intense interest in UFOs, saw the embalmed bodies of 4 alien beings, 2 feet long, with small bald heads and big ears.
You don't hear about the ears very
You don't
often.
got a
Usually
lot
they
of
have
aliens
like
with ears, huh?
just flat ovoid things.
These guys had big ears.
It very much is giving that what were those ones?
The Ferengi?
Nope, the Hopsville goblins?
Hawkinsville,
Goblins.
yeah.
Hopkinsville the goblins, thank
Maybe
you.
these were the Hopkinsvilles, and they captured them, and it was all a connected event. Anyway, I don't know if the timeline lines up. Probably not. 2 feet long, small bald heads, big ears. He was told nothing about the circumstances of their recovery. He swore his wife to secrecy, but after their divorce, Beverly freely discussed the story. Freely! Freely, Beverly! Bang! Zoom!
This time right from the moon.
So, yeah. You might be wondering what former President Trump's beliefs on the UFOs are. And he says he doesn't particularly believe in them. So
That is a man devoid of any ideology or reason for saying words.
yeah, he says people are saying they're seeing the UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particularly. Pretty good, Trump.
That was solid, actually. Yeah.
That was just me doing James Austin Johnson. He says, I think our great pilots know, and some of them really see things that are a little bit different than in the past. So we're going to see, but we'll watch it, is what he said. And he told Stephanopoulos he would be the first to know if there was alien life. So honestly, I also heard a story somewhere that they just didn't tell Trump. Because they were like,
I think that they didn't tell him a lot of stuff.
He can't handle it. However, there is a famous story.
Also, there's that one theory to where because they are citizens, essentially, elected officials that change every 4 years, that they don't tell the president a number of things.
That seems
Yeah,
perfectly reasonable for the DOD to do.
1 second.
But at the same time, the people who are elected president are of a class of people that are very elite, to where you could spread this information and it still wouldn't get out,
I mean, I think also just running for president already makes you an unhinged person. You could not have access to most military secrets.
Yeah, that is fair. Most presidents
Most
that we
secrets in
consider
general.
good are insanely unhinged on various things,
Yeah.
including paranormal topics. We've had presidents who have done I'm going to go ghost hunting.
Hey, man,
So-
Lincoln's wife was a ghost hunter.
Yep.
This is very true. Now, there's also a pretty famous story about Jimmy Carter being told that he was
Oh,
supposed to be like the UFO guy.
yeah, he
Yes.
recently said something. I forget what the quote was, but he was doing
Really
some kind of press, and he
interesting.
just kind of threw out there that UFOs were real.
Yeah, interesting. I haven't seen that one. If somebody wants to search for that, I'll bet
I am.
it's an interesting thing. There's actually an entire Wikipedia page about the Jimmy Carter UFO incident. Jimmy Carter, United States president from 1977 until 81, reported seeing an unidentified flying object while at Leary, Georgia in 1969, while serving as governor of Georgia. Carter was asked on September 14th, 1973, by the International UFO Bureau in Oklahoma City to file a report of the sighting. He filed a statement on September 8th, blah, blah, blah. This he said. He said there were about 20 of us standing outside of a little restaurant, I believe a high school lunchroom, and a kind of green light appeared in the western sky. This was right after sundown. It got brighter and brighter, and then it eventually disappeared. It didn't have any solid substance to it. It was just very peculiar looking light. None of us, it was just a very peculiar looking light. None of us could understand what it was. Speaking in a 2005 interview, Carter said, all of a sudden, one of the men looked up and said, look, over in the west. And there was a bright light in the sky. We all saw it. And then the light stopped. It got closer and closer to us, and then it stopped. I don't know how far away, but it stopped beyond the pine trees, and all of a sudden it changed color to blue. And then it changed to red, then back to white. And we were trying to figure out what in the world it could be. And then it receded into the distance. There was a whole investigation.
That was a very good impression.
Thank you.
Yeah.
of a
You
of a
got
still
peanuts in your
very
blood.
a still very relevant political figure.
In the UFO
Um,
community, he is.
Yeah. So he would really blow the lid off of UFOs. It was part of his campaign promise. He was like, I'm going to get in there. I'm going to find out what's happening with these little green, perhaps purple men. And the story goes that when they debriefed him about aliens, he like collapsed and like cried into his like sobbed into his hands. Like couldn't believe what he had heard. Nobody knows what they told him, but people think that they told him that grand conspiracy that I was telling you guys about like religion. We are made
Yes.
by aliens. Religion is here to keep us from killing each other while they do experiments. Everything
Right.
you believe is based on stuff that happened because of this alien.
They just went ahead and killed God right in front of
Yeah,
Jimmy
yeah.
Carter
And because Jimmy
with a
Carter,
handful of words.
Being a religious follower definitely was
Jimmy
hurt
Carter,
by
very
this.
very devout Christian, it was devastating.
I
So-
like how if you told us that, we'd be like, "You okay?"
I mean, if I saw proof, if I saw whatever Jimmy saw or was told,
Well, I meant that part, yes. I would be blown
I
away.
think I
By
would
the
be blown
religion part, I'd be
away.
like, yeah,
yeah,
we do a podcast about that once a week.
I would be kind of more in the like I fucking knew it camp.
That's fair. I would be excited that we were right the whole time.
Yeah. The sighting is said to have had a personal impact on Carter and his perception of UFO and UFO sightings. Anyway, that's Jimmy Carter. I looked up Ronald
OJC.
Reagan. Ronald Reagan sees a UFO.
Just all the time.
This is from
Yeah,
howstuffworks.com once again. The key takeaways. Ronald Reagan and his flight crew witnessed a UFO while flying to Bakersfield, California in 1974. Initially sharing the experience with a reporter, Reagan was taken aback upon realizing he was speaking to the press and subsequently refrained from discussing the incident publicly. The UFO displayed extraordinary acceleration before vanishing upward into the sky at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah, that's a lot of G forces that would be
Leaving-
built.
All witnesses aboard the aircraft astonished.
Well,
Have you?
correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yeah.
Bakersfield does and has for a long time had a pretty sizable air base.
Yes.
There may have been like,
Mhm.
experimental stuff going on.
Aliens,
But
I
at
agree.
this time, there's not shit doing shit like that. Like these speeds that are always reach are like well beyond what any jet propulsion can do.
Right. Well, but you hear there's like stories like out of Broadhaven in the David Pass, apparently They were saying that in 1976, a bunch of school children saw a Harrier jet
Hmm.
flying around, and it was like
Hmm.
a one of ours.
Yeah, that's fine.
Hmm.
That's
And it does it's VTOL, so it does a whole bunch of crazy looking shit.
okay. Yeah, no, I'm back on side skeptic there. I was on the other side though. I was like, no, Nate, you're insane. What they saw
Here's
was real, man.
what Barack Obama had to say about UFOs. What is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is
Nice.
that there's footage and record objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. And so, I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what it is.
These are all very good.
I'm shocked.
Do Benjamin Harris.
Well, Roger, here I am, Benjamin Harris. Am I even a president?
I think so. I thought you were the one that died in 30 days.
I'm
that's-
William Henry Harrison.
Yeah, Harrison.
Well,
Then no,
what
you were-
questions do you have? Who summoned me?
You can go back. I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Oh,
I'll give you I'll check for the ghost time you took off.
thank you. Big fan of the pod. Oh, boy.
Sorry, Jordan. I
Okay.
had you channel a dead person again.
Yeah, I was mediuming fucking. So, to wrap this up, why don't you hit me with a president, and I'll see what their thoughts were.
Does it have to be modern, or can I go back not as
Oh,
a joke?
you have to. It has to be within the U.S.
Okay, because I was
50s,
thinking like weirdly, like maybe Thomas Jefferson also saw what we would consider a
We
UFO.
saw upon the side of the mountain a burning wheel.
You know
filled
what?
With men ripe for conquest.
You know who I like? Ike.
Is it going to be?
You're like,
Yeah,
Ike,
yeah.
let's see it. Dwight Eisenhower.
AKA David Icke.
Isn't it Ick?
Is it? I've always heard it's Ike, but it might
David
be.
Icke.
No, then that's correct, and I'm always wrong. Pronounce it how other people pronounce it, please.
UFOs and flying saucers, Dwight Eisenhower. What is this? Is this a record?
Oh
David
shit!
Icke
Did I
is-
stumble upon something?
Oh, no. Eisenhower is supposedly the one who was friends with Valiant Thor.
Yeah, Eisenhower actually theoretically negotiated the truce between the aliens who were abducting us and the United States of America.
I should have known that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess that's my turn.
Ike and the Alien Ambassadors. 50 years ago tomorrow, President Dwight Eisenhower interrupted his vacation in Palm Springs, California, beautiful place, to make a secret nocturnal trip to a nearby Air Force base to meet two extraterrestrial aliens.
Yeah, and he did it. For whatever
Isn't that
reason, they said that he
isn't
was
it
going to the
Patterson Air
dentist or
Force
something.
Base?
So, sorry, one at a time. One at a time.
Sorry,
All right,
yeah,
all
we all were all like second. Isn't that a
We're-
weird thing? Nate, for
We're
you
overly
first.
excited. Yeah, no, it was weird. They covered it up. I believe a dentist trip.
Yeah, they said it was a dentist trip. Some facts are beyond dispute, says the Washington Post. Eisenhower was on a golf vacation in Palm Springs on February 20th, 1954. After a dinner that night, he made an unscheduled departure from the Smoking Tree Ranch where he was staying. The next morning, he attended a church service in Los Angeles. Also that morning, can you imagine going to the church service and being like, oh, this is fake. This is all bullshit.
I would honestly go.
Alien cooked this up.
I'm not going to church this Sunday.
But they're having a potluck and all your friends are there.
I'm going to church this Sunday, but I'm skipping next Sunday.
And anyone that is inconvenient. His spokesman announced to the press that Ike had visited a dentist the previous night because he chipped a tooth while eating a chicken wing at dinner. Look, I know the feeling, Ike. I busted my tooth eating chocolate. Like a little Augustus Gloop that I am.
I've also
I have
broken
a feeling
tooth
he
eating
had
rice.
a fourth musketeer.
The fourth musketeer. Have you tried saying it's impossible? Sala, who has a PhD in government from the University of Queensland and is native Australia, doesn't believe it. Sala must be a doctor that was quoted earlier in the article. I'm not going back. He figures the dentist trip is just a cover story. He believes Ike went to Edwards Air Force Base where he met with two ETs with white hair, pale blue eyes, and colorless lips.
Edwards, of course, also has its very own Sasquatch named, I think it's Blue Eyes or Bright Eyes.
What does?
Edwards Air Force Base.
Oh, okay, cool.
There's a Sasquatch story out of there from
Interesting.
about that time period.
And then it lends credence to that whole pet slash interdimensional slash
Yeah, they're working together.
alien Bigfoot theory.
These aliens, nicknamed the Nordics in UFO circles because they
Hey, that's
resemble
me.
Scandinavian humans, traveled to Edwards from another solar system in a flying saucer. And Sala says they spoke to Eisenhower. You want to know
That's
how
why
they
I
did it?
voted for him.
There was telepathic communication, says Sala, 45, as he sits in Suburban Falls church living room. It's as though you're hearing a person, but they're not speaking. The Nordics offered to share their superior technology and their spiritual wisdom with Ike if he would agree to eliminate America's nuclear weapons. They were
How'd that
afraid.
go?
They were afraid we might blow up nuclear technology, Sala says. And apparently that does something to time and space, and it impacts on extraterrestrial races on other planets. Wow.
Like
I mean,
how?
I think it's
This is a through line that you hear in.
And I'm a dumb human, but I still ask, but how? I don't.
This is something that you hear in these extraterrestrial encounters. They're being like, get rid of the nukes, don't mess with the nukes. People say that from nuclear testing sites have tons of like alien sightings. They're always buzzing around when they're doing nuclear tests, and they don't like it. They don't like it. This would something to the spiritual fabric of reality. It's all connected.
I'm not knocking anyone who believes that. I'm not one. So I don't believe in the spiritual alien. They're like us, even in the interdimensional side. I think they're more tangible.
Interesting.
So you are anti-galactic federation.
If we're going to put myself on the side, yeah, I guess I would be more in line with the Am I a baddie?
You're a full-on reptilian here. You're opposing the planets in all of their alliances.
I remember reading somewhere, I think it was for some reason, I think it was a Tom Robbins book. I can't remember which one, about there were these people who would climb up a mountain to where they were doing nuclear testing at the top because they believed that when you do a nuclear blast, it not only affects the physical world, but it sends out an EMP, which disrupts all the pulses. And they figured that if the human soul was the electromagnetic pulse or of some sort that we don't understand, that their soul would be obliterated in the blast. And there was a bar that was the last place where everybody would get a drink before they went and walked into the testing site, and got exploded utterly and finally destroyed. And so that's the idea, is like, the EMP and the way that it affects the EMP fields, it affects various ethers that we have not heretofore discovered.
And that's the thing, that spirituality that I refuse to acknowledge truly as a force could be that other energy dimensions to what we conceive as that are legitimate, tangible things, but we perceive it as some sort of spiritual force, if you will.
Yeah.
But I say no.
You say no.
I say no for right now. Until it slaps me in the face.
Okay.
Also, Don T were supposed to visit me, and when I see them, I might start believing.
That didn't happen yet.
Did not happen yet. She said it would.
Bummer.
She said, I hope you like getting into by weird things. And I was like, I don't think I can. I'm like someone who avoids that. And she's all we'll see.
Ike declined the ET's offer, Sala says, because he did not want to give up the nukes. Sometime later in 1954, Ike reached a deal with another race of extraterrestrials known as the Greys, allowing them to capture Earthling cattle and humans for medical experiments. And humans? Come on, Ike. Provided that they returned the humans safely home. Since then, Sala says the, quote, Greys have kidnapped millions of humans.
And they've committed a lot of sodomy.
A lot of sodomy, getting in there. Sala, author of The Hero's Journey Toward a Second American Century, published his ET theories in his new book, Exopolitics: Political Implications of the Extraterrestrial Presence. and in an article on his exopolitics website, www.exopolitics.org.
I'm gonna have to buy that book if it's under $10.
I'm going to have to go immediately to exopolitics.org. Ow, there he is. Nazi Germany used a global network of tunnels to create Fourth Reich with flying saucers. Russia's secret space program. Flying saucer training, prophecy, and war. Plus FBI files on ET babies. Dang. My man's got theories.
Yeah.
So there you go.
He's
That's a
playing
little taste
14th dimensional chess.
of a segment that I'm calling Alien to the Chief,
Bravo.
named by Nate Balding. And that does it for this episode of Werewolf Radar. Thank you so much to everyone for listening in. Thank you to our Dark Council members, Cheesebot, kicking it in the chat, and all our Dark Council members who couldn't be here. If you like what we do and you want to support us, you can go to patreon.com/Werewolf Radar, and you can help us out by becoming a Dark Council member. You get an extra episode every week. You get all kinds of content. You get art. You get to come listen to us record the podcast live if you like. Sorry, not a podcast. It's like a show. It's like a YouTube show. But you can come hang with us while we record. We would love it if you did that. And join us on Discord. Join us on Twitter. Join us on Instagram. Join us on werewolfradar.com, the website. You can find us everywhere. Shout out to Chuck for snappy little numbers for our intro and outro song. And that's it. Check us out on twitch.com/werewolf_radar, playing video games, all of that shit. Goodbye. We love you. On the count of 3, our sign-off line. 1, 2, 3. Punch the sky! Spaceman Joe!